The Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, has advised his counterpart in Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, to show respect, in quote, to party members while declaring that party members will not be coerced to support the presidential ambitions of some leaders in the People's Democratic Party. A subtle jab at Governor Nyesom Wike there. Both governors had loggerheads over a statement by Governor Wike castigating Obaseki's deputy, Philip Shaibu. Governor Wike had tongue-lashed Shaibu for daring to threaten the PDP on television. Shaibu had mentioned that top Edo leaders, including himself and Governor Obaseki, may leave the PDP if the party continues to treat them as outcasts. The comment angered Wike, who replied that the PDP gave Obaseki and Shaibu the party's ticket when they were denied the same by the ruling APC during the 2020 governorship polls in the state. Reacting to Wike's comments in a statement, Obaseki says his deputy at no point threatened the party. As alleged by the Rivers governor, Obaseki is accusing Wike of working with a cabal led by PDP chieftain Dan Obi to orchestrate the destabilization of the party in the Edo State chapter. Obaseki is calling on leaders in the PDP to prevail on Governor Wike to desist from his current unguarded, in quotes, and disruptive tendencies, adding that the party must put the task of regaining power in 2023 above personal ambitions. But first, here is Governor Wike speaking on Obaseki and his deputy.
Threatening the party, that's the alternative to PDP. This is the same deputy governor that they were kneeling down to beg for us to give them umbrella. Today has effrontery to threaten PDP. Such a shame. These are the same people. When they were denied ticket under APC, they were running helter-skelter, begging everybody to give them umbrella, and we give them umbrella. We want and make sure that they won that election. Today, that deputy governor will be ranting. A deputy governor will come out on television to tell PDP the alternative. I have written to the national chairman of the party. If they don't consider this party committee against the deputy governor, I will invoke the sections of the party and I will make sure they must discipline the deputy governor. He said, and he lost his election at local government when they do. He lost. And he will come out on television to threaten the party, the alternative.
Well, just before I bring my guests on, I would like to let you know that there's even a much more better update to what Governor Wike is saying. He has hit back at Governor Obaseki immediately, not quite long ago. He just said it that Governor Obaseki is a serial betrayal, and he went ahead to apologize to former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshomole, and who was also former APC national chairman, that Oshomole had told Wike and many PDP leaders that Governor Obaseki was going to betray them. Let me quote him here. He says, if you check the DNA of Obaseki, what you will see in that DNA is betrayal, serial betrayal, and ungratefulness. Let me stand today to apologize to Adams Oshomole, who has been vindicated by telling us that we will see the true color, the insincerity, the ungratefulness of Governor Obaseki. We voted for PDP since 1999 till now. Ask Governor Obaseki if he has done anything for PDP or voted for PDP. The only election he voted was his own election, where we gave him an umbrella. Well, we are being joined by Kasim Afegbua, who is a ranking member of the People's Democratic Party and also a Rise Analyst and Associate Professor of Law, Dr. Sam Amadi. Gentlemen, so good to have you here. I mean, hot exchanges. Let's start with you. Kasim, your party is on fire. These two leaders from the South are hitting hard at themselves. I mean, you can hear what Governor Wike is saying in reply to what Governor Obaseki said, that Wike is turning PDP to his personal property. Your response?
Well, I'm not a spokesman to Governor Wike. I think he has the capacity to, respond appropriately to Governor Obaseki of Edo State, which incidentally is my state. But also don't forget that I never supported the aspiration of Obaseki in 2020 re-election, because I protested that the process that threw him up was short of the conditionalities of what a proper candidate a party should have. And I came out openly to support the candidate of the APC, even though I'm a PDP member. for which I was
and
suspended.
even though it was your former party also.
Yeah, for which I was suspended for 1 month, and thereafter we continue. But some of the fears that I express are the things that we're having today, because it is not just about democracy. You also have to abide by certain rules, because what is critical in a democracy is inclusion and participation. And so when you have the governor has come from APC because he was denied the opportunity to preside over as a candidate, the party, the PDP, graciously gave him the opportunity and told all of us who had ambition to drop our ambition and all of that. That's a huge sacrifice. And I said, what you should do in such a situation is for you to come up with an agreement of power sharing, because the PDP has been, as they say, has been a strong party in Edo State. They have 4 House of Rep out of 5. They have 2 senators out of 3, and they won the presidential election in 2019, even though Obaseki was in APC and Oshomole was there. So it's not just, it's a strong party. So you can't just tell him to come and you cede everything to him without power sharing. But those who were the power players, the PDP oligarchs at the national headquarters, they're led by Uche Secondus, never wanted to listen to me. So I protested, and my protest was that I was not going to give him my votes on that of my community, and we did.
Which earned you some sanctions.
Yes.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that, you see, the governor must live above board to be able to accommodate people, because those who are in PDP, old PDP, and those who came with him, they are all Edo people. And it's not just the government.
But isn't he entitled to actually have some of these key positions in Edo PDP given to him and his men?
What do you mean by giving to him? Nobody is stopping him.
Although we have an elective officials. We have elective officials.
You see, a lot of people don't understand, I think, the issues happening in Edo. Nobody is dragging his government with him. You want to have governance structure, you want to have the party structure. Are we stopping him from performance? Are we stopping him from carrying out the responsibilities of a governor? We are not. What we are saying is that in as much as he was elected as governor by the people of Edo State, majority votes, those persons who are also officers of the party, ward level, local government level, and the state level, were also elected on 4-year tenure in line with the statutes and provisions of the PDP constitution. So you cannot tell someone who was elected that you want him to. If I tell the governor now that he should step down, or the deputy governor should step down, that we have somebody from PDP to take over the deputy governor's position, what would you say? He's enjoying a 4-year tenure.
Yeah, I mean,
so all the other people
term, actually. Let's bring in Dr. Sam Amadi here. Why is Obaseki and Philip Shuaibu, I mean, both of them, why are these gentlemen feeling like orphans in the PDP?
Well, I think first, the problem is the sense of the structural entitlement in Nigerian parties today, whether it's PDP, APC. You know, people have struggled in the past and failed to redefine these parties away from the governors. I remember Reform PDP, Erified Ken Naman. I was part of the brain box to do that, and even Salusi Lukman. The idea was, can you create a party that does not revolve around governors? Because governors dispense money. Don't forget what it is. It's about financing. Why are governors taking over the parties? What is APC? Because they provide financing. So we've not got a party structure that people rely on people to fund it. Rely on the normal way people go out and solicit for funds. It's governors.
So are you suggesting that Governor Obaseki is angry that he's funding the party, but
no, he feels that other
structure.
Governors control their party structure. He ought to. Now, but like Afegbua said clearly, these are persons who have entitlement by virtue of election. If you look at other states, you see the same disruption going on. The Southwest PDP, you're having a problem with party control, ownership, and independence of party structure. Only former Governor Lee left the party because of the same issues around should I have access or not. So this is a perennial problem. But again, coming back, governors should also know that, like I said, governing and political management are two different things. In many states, it converges well, and that gives you stability. But in many cases, it diverges. You might be a governor,
I mean,
but
the ideal thing should be that the governor should focus on his governance, at least for 2 years.
The only problem with that, though, is that in many cases, not managing politics can undermine governance.
But
so
that doesn't mean you should sacrifice governance more for politics.
Absolutely.
Let's come back to you, Afegbua. In all of this, we are not hearing solutions being brought forward. Instead, we are hearing threats. Wike has entered the fray and he just seems to be throwing, instead of throwing bullets, he's throwing bombs and all of that. And the situation is increasing. How do we go out of this?
You see, before
isn't it also the failure of the national leadership?
No, it's not. You see, let me tell you, there is no amount of mediation that you can bring into this, except the governor is willing to bend backwards and provide an open platform for us to do proper harmonization. And when you say you want to do proper harmonization, I will expect that. Okay, the governor and the deputy are already known. Then the old PDP should be able to produce the secretary to the state government. They should be able to produce the chief of staff. They should be able to produce speaker. You give deputy speaker. You can give the governor speaker. You give deputy speaker to the old PDP. So that when there is power sharing of the positions of governance, then you can now come to the party structure and say who is willing to see the way his position. You understand? And in so doing, the governor can replace with his own nominee. But to say that you already have 99% of your governance structure in place, and you want to come and have another percentage or either 80% or whatever of the party structure, it's not done that way.
I mean, it's very clear that the governor actually has a critical role to play, because you can't actually have both offices to yourself.
No, but I think we should also understand something. The governor is a technocrat, or at least fancies himself as one. So
I like that one.
I mean, to be fair to him, I mean, he comes from a background of some level of technocracy. He would fancy himself and say, look, I need the kind of chief of staff who will drive my agenda. I need the kind of secretary to government. So the problem is, you see, when we try to hold these positions and share them the way it talks, which is basically maybe the sharing formula, okay? The party gives you whoever they want. It might be weak. But the question is, you can't eat a cake and have the cake. So if you really also want to buy into the party structure that was before you, then you need to be more strategic and statesmanly to say, well, what can we give? You can also convince party leaders that, look, governance is central, and these are the guys I want to drive governance. But if they see win-win, inclusion, is this notion of inclusion that technocrats in power should learn how to be political. We talk about technopolis. You should learn how to be political. You give people what they want. You protect what ought to be protected. But if you want to protect everything, then you probably undermine the strategic things that are important to you. So I agree that you should be
very impressive. We'll just have to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about if indeed Governor Wike is the owner of PDP based on nomination by Governor Obaseki. You're still watching the Rising TV. When we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Rising TV. I'm Somna Sambo, and we're still discussing the issues in Edo State and with the intervention by Governor of Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike. And my guests are still Kasim Afegbua, who is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and Analyst and Associate Professor of Law, Dr. Sam Amadi. Now, I come back to you, Kasim Afegbua. Is it true that Governor Nyesom Wike is the owner of the People's Democratic Party, both at the national and state level, based on the accusation?
Why should you ask me this kind of question? No. See, you don't.
Because he has a colleague governor actually making such a huge allegation.
Please, you see, Governor Wike and Obaseki, they cannot be rated the same in terms of the ranking of PDP members and governors. Wike has been with PDP since 1998, from formation. He rose through the ranks. Chairman local government, this, that, became minister, became governor now. So Obaseki joined the party in 2020 when it was just 7 days to our primaries. 7 days to our primaries for the governorship. And so you can't put them in the same pedestal. That's one. But I want to tell you something. Those who speak truth in politics are often unpopular and often lonely men. I suffer that fate. Because each time I speak out my mind, they say, you're not a politician. I'm not speaking like one. That's the same way Wike is. Wike does not know how to stomach things. He likes to voice them out. If he looks back at what he went through in marketing the Obaseki candidacy in 2020, my brother, it was not easy.
So
and when he
can't stomach it any longer.
Yeah, when he stormed Edo, that was when there was some semblance of assurances that, okay, something good will come out. Because we are dealing with a candidate who is very popular. He's a Yamu. Very, very popular. Even the victory of Obaseki is still like mystery to some of us. That's the truth. But of course, there were several conspiracies here and there that led to that. That's a story for another day. So when you put up so much effort in the affairs of a man to realize his political objective of election, and barely 1 year into his administration, you are seeing another singing a different tone together.
I mean, people are saying that he actually went overboard by asking who is Philip Tribal's father.
Well, when you see,
and people are beginning to write on social media who is Wike's father too.
No, listen, when you see Governor Wike, ask him that question. He will have a good answer for you. Well, I'm just telling you that as a stakeholder in Edo politics and knowing the internal dynamics of what obtains, I think the governor has a larger responsibility to rein in people. And let me give you one of the genesis of this. People may not also know. When Obaseki won election, he waited for another 12 months before he appointed his commissioner, set up a cabinet. Yeah. Yet, contracts were being awarded, which is even against the law.
Because you need to have a state executive council in place.
Of course, you can't award contract more than 100 million
as a governor
of Edo State. So now, 12 months after, before you start getting nominees. After that, they waited for another 3 months before they were sworn in. One commissioner was just sworn in yesterday, on Friday. So you see, the thing is, you can be a technocrat and also be conversant with the issues and dynamics of politics, how to balance the aggregate interests of the people.
Yeah, I mean, just like Dr. Sam said.
Yes, you have to know how to balance this aggregate interest and all, because you need stability in the system for you to drive your governance policies and programs.
So I have to bring you in. Is there a failure of the national leadership of the PDP to wade into this crisis? How do we have an Iyorchia, are you a former president of the Senate and is unable to intervene in a crisis between two top governors in the party?
I think the chairman went to Edo recently and had discussions. I would say it's his failure largely, but I think that, look, like I said, these are big guns and they are shooting, you can say recklessly. Let me put it this way. Everybody in that party brings something. I mean, Wike brings a lot of muscle. And
a lot of money too.
Muscle is money, muscle is network. But again,
because people are saying that he seems to be the biggest donor in the party.
He is a strong muscle for the party and has done a lot to bring the party up. So, but again, the party needs also logic, it needs good speech, it needs emotion, it needs morality. So I think maybe a little bit guided would be nice. He's saying the truth, maybe he feels angry at the way Shaibu. And again, nobody will condone saying who is somebody's father. But that's oftentimes we see leaders flip and make mistakes, so we can pardon him. But the critical thing here is the PDP runs the risk of snatching defeat from the jaw of victory. The other party, the APC ruling party, is in crisis of a sort, big one, not of a sort. And then PDP is not looking beautiful as a bride. So it's for Wike, Obaseki, the chairman, and all the stakeholders to find a way to reduce their own personal ego, knowing that if PDP wins power in 2023, they all win. And if they lose, they all lose. So I think at this point,
I want to come to one critical thing that Obaseki raised in his statement. He said, it looks like Governor Onyesom Wike has a presidential ambition and the party members should not be coerced into supporting that presidential ambition. What do you make of that?
I think he's not far from the fact, from the truth, because it looks like, as an outsider, I would say, oh, it looks like he also wants to be president. But that's nothing wrong about it. The two-time governor of a state like Rivers, we saw Amechi, we saw everybody who governs River necessarily thinks he should be president. But it doesn't work that way. Yes, it's good, but at the same time, the party should develop the capacity to rein in its big guns and create a sustainable path for the party beyond the individual egos.
Now, when Obaseki attacks him, from the issue of the Wike wanted to contest for presidency.
If Obaseki is saying that, what does he want the structure of the party in Edo for? That's the question you should be asking.
To put his government.
He's saying that Wike needs the structure of the PDP in the state, and that's why he brought in Dan Obi, Bishop of Dan Obi.
No, you see, it's just pettiness. There are certain things you should go beyond as a governor. If you are holding the office and representing 4.3 million Edo people, it's not a small position. So you have to be responsible in terms of your utterances. Dan Obi was chairman of PDP in Edo for 10 years. He gave us, when I was in APC as a commissioner, he gave us a run for our money. That's the truth. He sustained that party with other like minds to build PDP to what it was. Even in 2015, they defeated us in the presidential election. They have 5 House of Rep members. We had 4.
They are strong.
They have 2 senators.
The deputy national chairman,
then
south of the PDP.
South, zonal chairman. Even you can imagine the governor going to the extent to say that he's always, Danobi is always the guest of Wike. He has forgotten that Port Harcourt is the zonal headquarters of PDP for South Zone. And as
when I read that myself, I was just laughing.
He has to be there.
Yeah, Danobi is always going to Port Harcourt and all that. Do you think he was too petty, actually, in his response?
See, there are times, all these things, you don't need to bring them to the public glare. If you have issues, the chairman was there, just like he said, on Thursday last week. He told them that they will set up a committee, to look into the issues. And that committee should be able to offer recommendations to the NEC or to the National Working Committee on how to go forward. But I've told you that there are no issues. If there are issues in Edo State, I think the governor is at the center of it.
Well, he keeps saying that there are issues, and Dan Obi, as a former national vice chairman of South of PDP, is at the heart of what Governor Wike is trying to do to supplant the leadership in the state. Now, as we try to round off this conversation, I want to ask you critically about this issue. Do you foresee a solution to these challenges that PDP is facing? Because it looks like this is affecting the chances of the party to create a conducive atmosphere for the emergence of a good presidential flag bearer that will be acceptable to all Nigerians.
Well, we don't forget that when elections are coming like this, you have various interests, playing out. You have people who have different motives here and there. He has raised it very critically that with the crisis happening in APC, PDP has a very golden opportunity to utilize all the forces at its disposal to be able to make a strong showing in 2023 and perhaps also win the presidency. But again, when you localize it to some of the issues happening in the various states, we have opportunity also to be able to resolve them. I was just raising concern.
Very quickly.
Yes, I was just raising concern about Osun State, where you have a faction having a court order saying that they are the authentic, candidate of the party, different from the one that that was elected by the party hierarchy in Abuja. So you need to resolve all of this. And I keep telling people, constructive engagement, collective bargaining, and dialogue. These are the resources, they are the ingredients that should naturally deepen democracy.
Well,
but oftentimes,
I actually ask you that question,
yes,
because you have been saying that the PDP ticket should go to the south.
Yes.
And if top leaders of the party from the south are not seem to be united,
the
northerners may be taking an advantage.
Don't forget that there's a primaries. There's a primary, we are going to go to primaries, and the candidate will emerge. Okay. And we're running around such a person.
Okay, Kasim Afegbua, who is the PDP chieftain, has joined us to take a look at the critical issues in Edo State and the intervention of the River State Governor, and Dr. Sam Amadi, who is a Rise News analyst and an associate professor of law. Most thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show. But that's how it's been for this edition of the Arise interview. Do join us again tomorrow from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambo.